The Abandonshare podcast.
Welcome to the
Abandonshare
podcast.
Sleeper wants to nap.
Sleeper wants a nap.
Sleeper wants to nap.
Nobody fucking cares, Sleeper. It's Abandonshare time.
Mandy's mom cares. Shout out to Mandy's mom who watches this.
Yeah. Mandy's mom and Catman's friend. Good job for both of you.
I'm going to cut this in some way to make it sound like you're insulting both of them.
You know what? Fuck you. Mandy's mom and Catman's friend.
Gonna go cut.
Oh,
no. Oh no.
You know what? Fuck you, Sleeper.
This podcast isn't meant to be edgy.
You know what? Maybe
No.
Sleeper can go nap. We don't need him.
Alright, goodbye, buddy. Love you later.
Nice.
Ah, thank
He's
God.
gone forever.
Oh god.
I'm already up and I don't have anything to do today.
Understandable.
Hmm.
Why would you nap if you woke up not that long ago, Sleeper?
I want to go back to bed.
He's a
Ah,
lazy bastard, and what could he say?
I hate your kind.
Hey, you people who sleep.
Yeah, fuck people who sleep.
God, I thought you were anti-sleeper.
I
Jesus.
gave up on that like 8 years ago. Everyone just
Brand
calls me
is dead.
Sleeper. My brand is in tatters. It doesn't matter.
Pro Sleeper.
I'm sleepy.
Pro Sleeper.
Video games, old ones, etc.
Welcome to the Abandonshare podcast.
Fuck off.
Jesus.
Sorry.
Oh.
Is that too loud?
So what order did we want to go in today?
All right, I'm assigning you each a number.
Alright, Catman's
21.
first.
Okay, got it.
Catman's first.
Look at you trying to inject order into this podcast. You stop that.
No, I'm trying to inject chaos. What are you talking about?
I'm here.
I don't know. It sounded like you had a system. Systems are order.
A system to randomize.
Alright, calm down, Sleeper. This
As
is
I
your
get
YouTube
this
channel,
set up,
alright?
how about you
You've got
give us
stuff
an
to do.
idea
Must
of
debunk.
what game you played this week, Catman?
I played. This was an old gold box game, which was basically a series of games using the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons second edition rule set. So this was called Dark Sun, Shattered Lands. Dark Sun, just to give a little bit of history, was one of the many settings published for AD&D second edition. It took place on a desert planet with city-states ruled by sorcerer kings. It was sort of unique as a setting in that the primary magic system was not magic, but psionics. So almost everyone has psychic powers to some degree or another. But the sorcerer kings still use regular old arcane magic. They are wizards because sorcerers didn't exist back in second edition D&D, you see. And arcane magic kills plants, and that's why the world is a desert. And
You
they're
know?
so powerful that they can actually grant spells to clerics as if they were gods. It's basically like Conan the Barbarian, the D&D setting,
Nice.
in aesthetic.
Magic climate change.
Magic climate change.
Let's
Magic climate
fucking
change.
go. My favorite kind of climate change.
All right, so this video is going to... Oh, right, I forgot about this. I want to show this off because what beautiful world did we live in where they actually encouraged you to make backups of the games that you have bought?
Ah, the past.
Look at this paradise we used to live in.
Nice. Yeah, but
Incredible.
they you had to deal with the goddamn fucking like little wheel password things and reading the 18th letter in the 17th
Oh,
page.
go ahead and let it play because I left it I
It's-
timed it so
It's
that
playing.
It's not. It's
Oh,
paused.
It's been
It is
playing. It's been playing.
It was
Stream
completely
is gone.
you
frozen.
could not see it. Yeah.
Stream is paused.
What? No, it was playing. It was just that was how long you had it up.
Jesus
Catman.
Christ, really?
Yes.
No, are you sure? Because at the bottom it
'cause
was
the
stuck at
5 seconds-
0.05.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
the stream has currently crashed. Oh, it's
what-
back.
Interesting.
1 minute. There we go. Now we can see. Everything's fine.
There we
Okay,
go.
things are back.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, this looks sick.
There's this.
This
I
actually
know,
looks really
right?
cool.
So yeah, Desert World of Athos animation.
Oh, right.
Yes.
So the
Orange.
first thing that we're going to get into is, well, obviously, first of all, the world of Dark Sun. It's called Athos. Come on, game makers, come on. But the first thing that we're going to get into here is character creation, and again, AD&D 2E rules. So this is probably going to look pretty familiar to anyone who's played any sort of D&D game before. So you get to make a party of 4. There are many classes, many races. Some races actually.
These pictures.
Some of the races are actually barred from certain
what?
classes. This was something that they did back in the day.
They did racism all back when.
They sure did.
Yes.
Nice.
Like, for example, like humans can be anything, but like elves can't be druids, half giants can't be druids, wizards or thieves.
Elves can't do
Wait,
nature magic.
elves are the
No.
default druid in my
What?
that I've got in my head. That seems.
Yeah, it was
Wait,
a very
wait,
different time.
How do druids work on a world where plants die when you use magic?
Only arcane magic, divine magic that druids use does not feed on that.
Understandable.
So generally, they end up sort of acting as protectors of, like, oases and places where plants still grow.
Yeah, and
Nice.
elves well known for not protecting nature, so they can't be druids.
You see, back in these days, elves were very much like the wizard default
I understand.
because they had time to study because they lived forever. So
Oh, look at that.
yeah, man. So, general plot of the game is you're a gladiator and a slave. And you are in the city-state of Draj, ruled by Tektuk Titley. I think he's some sort of Aztec.
That sounds pretty Aztec, yeah.
I think he's Aztec-themed. And so the first thing you do is you fight monsters in the arena.
Damn, I thought the first thing you're gonna do is lay tit.
Oh,
It's the second thing you do. Sorry.
Understandable.
So, for anyone out there who is not familiar with general D&D classes, we have clerics who are warrior priests, and in Dark Sun, they don't worship gods. They worship elemental forces, so fire, water, earth, air.
Okay.
You got your druids, which are also priests, but they're nature priests in particular. You got your fighters, who fight. That's what they do. In Dark Sun in particular, there is a specialized fighter called a gladiator. They're basically slightly tankier. As they level up, they get extra armor from whatever armor they wear. In this setting, instead of calling them mages, they are called preservers and defilers. So the game wants you to be a good guy. It does not allow you to be evil aligned. So you have to be a preserver because a defiler is... So a well-trained, careful can do arcane magic without killing all the plant life around them. Defiling is essentially like a quick path to power, but it also corrupts you. It's like the dark side of the force, right?
Yeah.
So when you're a mage, you're a preserver in this game. Any mage that you fight will be a defiler in this game. Then, of course, you have your rangers who are... I actually had to look it up because rangers have changed in every edition of D&D, and I have had no idea what it's going to be. Apparently, they're just fighters in this who can dual wield without penalties. And then, of course, you got your thieves. They can pick locks. They can backstab. They can sneak. Oh, and I forgot psionicists, because I didn't actually have a psionicist in my party, but they focus on psychic powers, although every character gets at least some psychic powers. So, combat. It's turn-based. It's D&D. It's tactical. It's great. There isn't a whole lot to say about that, actually. It's turn-based combat. You cast spells, and you kill almost everything that you come across. So, basically what's happening on screen right now is I am escaping from slavery. I have just killed a, what are they called? Templar, who are the priests of the Sorcerer Kings. And now everybody is going to come and kill me, but I'm going to escape into the sewers. So the next thing you do is escape into the sewers, where you have to deal with some rats. Rat people, actually.
Tradition.
A tradition, yeah. These are rat people. There's good ones and bad ones, and you got to rescue one of their one of them's daughter from a rogue Templar that is hiding out in the sewers. Apparently, Lay is just gone. Like nobody knows where he went. So, like everything's kind of going nuts in Draj right now. But eventually you make it to the surface, and the plot of the game is, hey, you're the chosen ones. Guess what?
Way.
And you're chosen to unite the slave villages out in the desert because they are planning to just come in and kill everybody because they can't have not slaves. That just wouldn't be right. So you have to go to the other two villages, unite everybody together. I didn't actually get that far yet, although I will. This game is a lot of fun, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who is into any kind of tactical combat or RPG or anything like that. The only other real thing that I have to say about this game is a couple of tips if you plan on playing this game out there in internet land. You're going to be running it in DOSBox unless you have some sort of specialized DOS computer. If you're running it in DOSBox, you make sure you hit Control F12 a bunch of times because otherwise it will run slow as shit. These are the lessons that I've learned over my time playing this game. Another thing, you can right-click that menu button in the left, and it'll show you a list of recently used spells. That's a nice shortcut. I had to figure out that just clicking on an enemy in combat will do melee, but if you right-click first, it'll bring up a ranged option. There are keyboard shortcuts for everything. The game doesn't tell you that, although the instruction manual does. Go read the instruction manual. And make sure that you... Go ahead.
This is a 90s RPG. Reading the instruction manual is necessary.
Don't read the instruction manual.
Read the instruction manual.
Just wing it.
No, don't do that. You will be walking around in circles for 20 minutes.
Question, Catman.
Yes.
These bug people have many arms. Can you make use of their many arms?
You can. In fact, that is the reason why my party's fighter is a Thrycreen. They get 4 attacks with their claws every round.
Nice.
Incredible.
Do not equip them with weapons, however, because then you lose your 4 attacks.
How faithful is this to the D&D system at the time? Is this like exactly the same rule set?
So I'm not hyper up on the 2E rule set, but as far as I can tell, it is exactly what it was.
These games were known for being very true to the actual pen and paper.
With one exception, the spellcasting is slightly different because back in 2nd edition, every class, there was no such thing as a spontaneous caster. Everyone had to prepare spells who had spells. So it was a true Vancian casting system. And like if you wanted to cast more than one of a single spell, you had to prepare it twice. This game dispenses with that. You basically can just cast any spell you know anytime you want, as long as you have a spell slot for it.
Nice.
So in that way, it's better.
It made quality of life improvements to make it a better game. Fair enough.
God, mages weren't powerful enough.
They're
never powerful enough.
I wouldn't necessarily give them the credit that it was a quality of life improvement. It could have just been they couldn't actually do that system with their...
I don't think that's the case because other games from this era actually did make you prepare spells.
We'll have to see as we play more
Later.
Gold Box games inevitably.
Oh yeah.
Understandable.
Also, the levels you can only get up to level 9 in this game, so don't go planning a character expecting you're going to get to level 20 because you will not. Should I talk about the horrible Dark Sun short-term campaign that I ran that one time?
Yes.
I wasn't there for that.
Oh god. Okay.
How does this
So-
compare?
Oh, this is way better. That module. So here's what happened, right? I tried to convert a second edition Dark Sun module called. Oh, what was it called? Anyway, it was basically a tutorial campaign, but I tried to convert it to the Pathfinder system. And as I was running it, at one point, I just realized, oh, these characters have no motivation to do any of this. And so I just had to stop because I got mad. Don't run old second edition campaigns without double checking that they make sense, guys. Just don't do it.
So we had made characters in the backstory for this setting, and we were a bunch of escaped slaves.
Mhm.
And the first quest hook that we were presented was, would you like to storm this keep for this piece of metal? And it's like, no, we just escaped slavery. I don't want to storm the elf keep, especially of the people who got us out of slavery. This seems like a terrible thing to do. So we
And
did.
now we are bandits.
Yeah, so
Suddenly.
basically after that point, the campaign kind of didn't have anywhere to go, so we stopped.
Oh my god.
So we got 2 sessions in.
Remarkable.
Yep, 2 sessions.
Incredible.
And man, I had big
Remarkable.
plans. I had big plans to run like the next module in the sequence, but no, we're
No.
just not going back to that.
This is so sad.
There are better modules that were written better, even from the second edition era. Like I've been looking through this Planescape one recently, but it was written by Monty Cook, who was actually a good game designer.
Nice.
Nice.
In fact,
Why
Monty
even-
Cook was
is
the
this supposed
primary
to be a
designer.
desert?
Yes, this is
Why is
supposed
it
to be
so,
a desert.
it's so orange.
I know.
It's so orange. Oh, good lord. It's like a
Different
fight on
area-
lava.
So that is partly just as a way of distinguishing different maps in the game.
I
Like
get it.
some
I
of the
get it.
deserts are like yellow sand, some of them are red sand.
Nice.
Because at a certain point, the game just does become open world, which
Oh,
is really ambitious for the time, in my opinion.
It's nice. Especially if it all looks like that. They're all going
Yeah.
around like that. Because I know I've played older ones like Ultimate, where obviously it's open world on the big map, but you're not going into that much detail with combat and so on.
Yeah.
That's quite nice.
Yeah.
That's quite nice box art. Look at that.
Look at
Yeah.
that box art.
That is one of the main characters in the Dark Sun setting. Rikus, I believe his name was. He is a Mull, which is a half dwarf.
Nice.
Those exist in Dark Sun, and nowhere else. They're specifically bred to be gladiators.
You take the human, you take the dwarf, you smack them together.
Yeah.
Fight you.
They are sterile. They cannot reproduce themselves. In fact, that's why they're called moles, because they're mules.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah.
well, that's upsetting.
I know it's kind of an awful setting. Like that's sort of the point.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Yeah. So, I would rate this game a 4.5 sterile mules out of 5.
That's a lot of sterile mules.
I know.
That is a lot.
Very good game.
Nice.
That's too many sterile mules. Has anyone considered
I
euthanasia?
don't like the half of one.
Has anyone
Not
considered
sterile.
euthanasia?
Right, in that setting, yes, absolutely.
Understandable.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's illegal because then they can't be slaves.
That's
True.
right.
That's a good point.
Look,
Also, don't euthanize the moles. They have all the sex they want without pregnancy. That's great. Don't take that from them.
Nice.
Understandable.
There are also half giants in this setting, but there are no giants. They killed all the giants
Then how are they? I'm not going to question it.
They're more like
because
quarter
they breed,
giants.
because half giants breed true, unlike moles.
Okay, got it.
You see, the sorcerer kings, their actual job was to commit genocide, so that they could kill all the races except halflings, so that they could give the world back to halflings. They were not halflings, by the way.
Like supremacy? You can't swing that on us right at the end.
Halfway
They were
jealous.
tricked into it, you see.
Oh my god!
In fact, when they found out what the plan was, they trapped away their boss in like a dimensional rift forever.
I just imagine, like, Hitler in a wizard hat at the top of a tower being like, gotta give the world to the halfling. They have the Ubermensch.
Well,
Watching a
Oh, don't
fucking
put that bit in the YouTube video. That's gonna get us owned.
speaking
Yeah.
of Hitler-adjacent halflings, Sleeper. Would you like to go?
Wow, that's just unnecessary.
That's unnecessary. You
He's
can't
not
call me
even
short. That's rude.
Sleeper, would you like to go next?
Yes.
I know
I'm
what's
gonna-
coming, and I'm sorry for it in advance.
Oh god, more penguins.
Welcome
Wait,
to my second penguin game for the podcast.
Penguins deserve death. Ender split too.
Defending the penguin. Daniel, if you could, please make it louder. Because I need to share. There we go. I need to share the fever dream I've been having for the last few days. Such a drastic change in tone. So, this is.
Why did they go cross-eyed? What's wrong with that penguin? No!
Alright, I gotta lower this or I'm gonna get distracted. So, this is Defending the Penguins, the second penguin game I'm going to be tackling. May or may not become a trend, but the gist of this game is that a long time ago, you are a penguin and you lived in a village of penguins. And every once in a while, crabs or deer or other critters would steal your fish. And you the penguin blue, would get pissed off by this. So one day, a crab is walking away with your fish, and you decide that you're tired of all of these other creatures treading on you. So you throw a snowball at the crab, and the crab drops the fish. The professor, who there is a penguin just named the professor,
Is that the one with the beard that you see?
yes.
Nice.
The professor sees you throw a snowball, and he invents war. So, you throwing the snowball at this crab gives the professor the brilliant idea of inventing just war machines. And basically sets you up to operate all the war machines in an attempt to defend the penguin's fish from all of the other
That
creatures.
kid would make for a great child soldier.
Yeah. And the gameplay is just it's a tower defense game, and that is defending. Yes, so this is the music that you hear. I don't know if there's any other tracks in during gameplay, but it's this. And
It's isometric 3D.
yes, it is. So
I would.
if you can see on the menu there, there are quite a few structures. I didn't build any others. I only built the snowball cannon. That's all I did, and that more than sufficed. I'm playing on the medium difficulty now. I'm playing on challenging. And yeah, you place down turrets, and you can get in the turrets to make them shoot faster. But so yeah, it's a tower defense game. The gameplay, I don't actually have that much to comment on. I was just so distracted by the fucking music and the fucking aesthetic, just yelling at me constantly. And I felt like at every moment I was having just a continuous panic attack.
Oh no.
I'm so sorry.
So, for those who are unaware, which should be basically everyone, this was recommended to me by George.
Oh.
Looking at Digimon games, and this was above them on the list.
This was above the Digimon games on the DS page of the very legitimate ROM site we go to.
I think
No, none of that.
we've heard enough for them to understand.
Music, no more of the.
No, I think we've heard enough for them to understand.
Oh, are we done?
No, we've heard enough of the music. I didn't mean we're done. You keep going, you piece of shit. Earn your paycheck,
So we're gonna
whore.
have like a minute long just sleeper like agonizing to this music at the end of the video, right?
Yes. Necessary.
No, I'm just going to have a clip of both this and the beat 'em on music playing at the exact same time. We'll throw in the music from Stick World just for the hell of it.
Is that going to be like our ending card? It's just we add horrible tracks to just.
Yeah, if we had enough together, eventually we'll hear the voice of God at the end telling us to stop. Please. Please stop.
Listen, I'll go back and get a song from every single one of the episodes and put it in that end song. Don't think I won't. By the end of the year, there's gonna be like 5 of that.
I'm gonna need to comment on some. No, you need to turn the volume back up because my guy's gonna make some noises real soon.
Oh no.
Oh no.
So, specifically, once I remember where I am and I collect those fish. Did you hear that every time he collects a fish, he goes, "Oh boy!" Even when they're all right next to each other. So, he just goes, "Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy."
Porky Pig over here.
Yeah, what?
Who made this?
Do you think this was so? Remember? I looked it up at one point, but I forgot.
Give me a second, I will be the advanced forward analyst for defending the Penguin.
Do you think there was someone who was working on this game who considered this their passion project?
No.
I
Yeah.
hope not.
Yes, I do think that. There's a fucking Wii version of this too. This game is
Yeah,
apparently
I just
not
saw-
unsuccessful.
This
Someone
was
put a
on-
lot of time into this, making multiple
When
variants
are
of the
you
game.
playing the Wii version?
I didn't know there was a Wii version!
Well, now it's
Next
time.
week.
Next week, you can play.
No!
No, that's not your game for next week. That's your homework for next week. You have
From
to
the
have...
I
creators
graduated.
We're gonna have
I don't
a-
need homework anymore.
From the
Fuck you.
creators of Purple.
You do if you want to stay on the goddamn podcast.
Penguin.
Hold on. George, what else did they create?
Pals and Baby Pals. I
Ah!
don't know what they don't even have a Wikipedia page. This is on the Dolphin emulator Wikipedia
This-
page.
This is the same type of people that makes, like, Elsa Frozen Dental Surgery Simulator.
Oh no.
Well,
It's that caliber. It's
Who
just
made this?
yet
Deadliest
horrifying.
Hatch?
Look at that penguin's face. Look into its eyes and tell me he hasn't seen, like, the horrors of war. That professor has fucked up this child.
These people made a UFC game.
pausing just so when I edit I can zoom in on this face.
UFC.
Just look at his
UFC
eyes.
Throwdown, Deadliest Hatch, Sea of Chaos, Solitaire, and Mahjong.
Wait, Mahjong?
Ah, fuck. Solitaire
I mean,
and
who has
Mahjong?
Mahjong.
Wait, so is that like this,
Oh my
that
god.
one game has both games, or it's a variant that is like you play
No, it's
solitaire
selling
mahjong?
It says Solitaire and Mahjong.
Oh, it's
What
one
do
game.
they mean by that?
Well, I'll click on Solitaire and Mahjong and see what Crave Entertainment, the sick bastards, mean.
Oh my god, these guys
Solitaire
published
Mahjong.
the Bible game. Have you guys ever played the
Oh
Bible?
my god, no! No!
There's the Bible game.
Uh-huh. It's on the
They made
Game Boy
Bible
Advance.
game? No
Dibs.
way. Oh my
For
god.
next week.
I think I looked into it. I think it did not meet our criteria.
What criteria? Is it too well known?
Yes.
Yeah.
Damn.
Like
Damn you, religion. Being
At least
popular and shit.
At least two people on this podcast have heard of it, because I've heard of the Bible game.
I've heard
I
of Bible game too, yeah.
Yeah, there is, when you search it on YouTube, 840,000 views on Scott the Waz's video on it.
Damn you, Scott the Walls, damn
Are you
you.
sure that wasn't just like a bunch of religious people during lockdown trying to learn more about the Bible because they couldn't go to church? Are you sure that they were looking specifically for the Bible game?
These people also published Earthworm Jim on the Game Boy.
Really?
What the
Really?
fuck?
Stay away from Earthworm.
Arrow Wings, if you've ever heard of Arrow Wings. Blaster Master blasting again. Wow.
No.
I very quietly hear the music in the distance, and I immediately went on high alert.
You know,
Like, oh, it's back.
I think that is enough of it.
So, just some final bits. It's a tower defense game. It's really slow. I wish it wasn't quite so. I wish there was like a fast forward button, because I was never in any danger of not killing everything that came by. All I ever needed was the snowball cannons, and everything died. That might change as we get further in. I think I got to level 1-6, so like 6 of the sub levels in. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say. Mostly, I just didn't want to keep hearing or seeing any of it, so I didn't get any further.
So Sleeper, how does this compare to the last penguin-related game that you played?
It's way more annoying. So I think it's actually better to play. Like, I can see how one might have fun with a tower defense game, and the mechanics made sense, but just constantly, and I couldn't do it. I could do it. I didn't want to do it anymore, so I didn't. So I stopped. I couldn't do that. I couldn't look in that penguin's dead eyes as carnival like clown snow music played in the background.
You know,
I didn't want to.
in the lower left corner, he really does have a 1,000-yard stare. Look at him.
Oh my god.
I know, right?
Wild soldier who has seen the many horrors of war.
He's committed some of those horrors by the looks of it.
Yes, no,
He's
absolutely.
committed all of those horrors.
Did you not see the screen at the
He's
moment? It
the
looks like
first soldier ever.
he looks like he's just blown up a dog. What's going on in the screen? Oh no.
You know, some of the enemies are a bit like too like pixelated to understand what they are. Some of them might be dogs. I thought they were reindeer though, but I don't know.
what that is. I don't know what I'm seeing there.
That's a
It's
crab
dead.
on screen right now.
That's a crab being hit by fire.
Crab is the quintessential first enemy, but there are tougher ones that have more health that I think are like reindeer.
How far in this game
Everyone
did
was
you
working
get?
against the penguins.
How far in this game did you get?
1/6 of however many levels there are.
You played 6 levels of this.
Yeah. So like, I don't know how to. I basically got 1 level in because like in between, like for each bit of the level, there's like a cutscene, and then you come back to this exact like layout, and all your structures are the same. It's like every like -1 whatever is like a fraction of a level. So I'm like 1 level in.
I got it. Alright, so
Nice.
I'll ask again. How many dead penguins out of 5 would you give this?
I think I'm just by the fact that it's a game and has game mechanics, I need to give it more than March of the Penguins,
Which got a 0.
which did get a 0. So I will give this a 1. It is a tower defense game. If you,
Understandable.
it might go up to as high as a 2 if you click mute.
This-
I just want to take this time to apologise for this, because this is my fault as much as it's Sleeper's fault.
I'd like to say
Well,
that
I'm
what
looking
you just
for
said
more games.
was basically the exact same thing I said about beat 'em on. It goes up by at least a point if you put it.
Look,
One day,
if you close your ears, it goes up by 1. If you close your eyes, it goes up by 3. Because and Ray
At this
just
point, you're just
sitting in
meditating.
your chair meditating is a 4.
If you put the game down, turn it off, close your eyes, go to sleep, it goes up to a 5.
Exactly. So do that instead. But if you were forced to play this game, and you need to look at it to play, you could get it up to a 2 by turning it on mute.
There's someone out there who really wanted like Pokemon Emerald or some shit, and then got them defending the penguin for the Game Boy Advance.
It's just like, well, we had a special, so they swindled the grandma to like get this with the Game Boy or the DS, whatever.
It's the DS.
Oh,
Was it
no.
the DS? I think this was the DS.
This was that's why the screen is like this, because in post I split
get
it in half and put them next to each
I
other.
want you. This is the exact same joke you made in the other penguin video, George.
Yeah.
Look,
I know.
We're not just doing.
somehow
the exact
these
same segment
penguin-based
again.
games it got sold, and this is the hypothesis that we have.
Right, time to look for a Happy Feet game for Sleeper to play.
Fuck you.
Alright,
I don't want to be the penguin guy.
let's-
I don't want to do this anymore. This is bad.
Let's move on.
Stop.
Let's move.
Penguin
I
Man!
want to do the Bible game.
Penguins!
George.
Hey,
Is it me?
Sleeper, I have good news.
Uh-huh.
The Bible game I was thinking of and the one that is heavily reviewed on YouTube are different games.
Bible game.
No, Dan,
Next
go back.
week.
Daniel, go
Yes.
back. I put
I was
effort
no,
into
I was
editing
I
and
was
figured
just
this
checking to make sure the
Yeah.
video was working. George, shut the fuck up.
out. No, it's very important. I used one whole
All
editing
right, this
effect
is
in my video.
George. This is George.
Yes.
Right.
And I recently have been playing plenty of Virtual Boy games, so this is what you're going to have to sit and watch for a second here.
Oh.
Let's go.
Don't worry, I have helped,
So
as you will
wait,
see.
do they have a VR headset compatible Virtual Boy emulator? Because they need.
Okay, yeah, no, you can just put a VR headset on and watch this. I had to make sure that it wasn't like set up for 3D glasses. Yeah, look at that effect. Yeah.
Oh,
look at
I
it.
love this.
I made it go black and white, you see, so I could look at it without my eyes bleeding. This is Innsmouth Nurjekata, which I think means the mansion of Innsmouth.
It's Japanese.
Nice.
Yes, it is. It was a Japanese-only game for the Virtual Boy from 1995.
Oh,
It is
look
a
at it.
mid-90s virtual reality
good.
first-person survival horror game.
Jesus.
And
Look at that thing. Oh,
is
that's
that?
so cool.
yeah, this is really cool. This was a really cool game.
Game
This
on.
first bit, the first 2 minutes of this is just me dying in various ways. Be prepared for that.
Can't wait.
Well,
So-
it's the Call of Cthulhu based game, so
Yes.
yeah.
This setting is Innsmouth. It's the H.P. Lovecraft story. I think one of the earlier ones as well. Innsmouth.
Yeah,
Shadow
yeah,
over Innsmouth.
Yes.
Yeah. The one for fish.
This
people.
is set before that book, I'm pretty sure, because this is 1922. You are a detective trying to escape a mansion that is filled with monsters, and you are trying to escape with the Necronomicon. And a bunch of various fish people try to murder you along the way. It is a
Right.
maze game. You
That's
go
impressive.
through.
Deep ones.
I think it was 13 total levels, but there's like 48 in the whole game. But you go down different paths depending on how fast you complete a level. So this has branching paths,
Incredible.
Wow.
which is
Holy
remarkable as you go on.
Is-
It looks, in terms of like visually, I'm sure it would have been way more impressive with a VR headset or a Virtual Boy, with like perspective and with depth perception and all of that. It would have looked better. But at the moment, just looking at it on a 2D screen, it looks like the first-person dungeon crawling bits in some NES games that I've played. I think I've shown you them. Abigetsu Firma.
Oh
It's like that.
yeah.
It's more like the Lone Ranger. Remember the Lone Ranger?
I do remember
Lone
the Lone Ranger play.
When he's
Yeah.
playing the Lone Ranger.
Hey audience, do you
Uh,
remember the Lone Ranger?
I will play the Lone Ranger for the NES at some point.
Very cool.
So
Can't wait.
The audience, you can remember it in the future. Stay
Yes.
tuned.
this is the second time I've set up something for a future Abandonshare and then not followed up because I'm not playing that game. We'll see. Anyway, the whole game is navigating around mazes with a time limit. You pick up health, you pick up revolver ammo, You pick up orbs, and the different orbs reveal different elements of the map, like, so you can see the actual outline of the map, or you can see where items are, where the key is, or where the exit is. And as you go further through, you find key, get to door, find key, get to door,
Oh my
on and on
god!
forever. And that's how many levels there are. It's a very large game. It's remarkably large.
That is a very large game. Though, to be fair, it doesn't look as though the levels are particularly intricate. I mean,
they get way more intricate as you go on. Way more intricate.
Okay, so let me qualify that. I don't mean to say that they don't get complex. It doesn't seem hard to program because it's like a bunch of rooms connected by tiles. Like, I could see how you could make many levels for this game.
Yes. So yeah, you walk through fighting various fish people, and you need to shoot them or run away. And I did both quite a lot. You aim the crosshair with the right D-pad on the Virtual Boy. So you're moving around with perspective with the left D-pad, aiming with the right D-pad, and reloading and firing. It has a reloading mechanic. You have to reload manually.
Huh.
Which is impressive to me for some reason. Yeah, that is also like the long range. I think that had that as well, but still. It's not horribly difficult once you figure out what the hell you're doing. I think you saw at the start for the first 2 minutes it was about 4 goes of me getting lost or not knowing what I was doing and getting killed or running out of time. But once you get over that, I breeze straight through this game. Like, with some breaks there to rest my goddamn eyes. What was the other thing? But the main thing about combat is, even though like some enemies can be tanky and take a full 6 shots, when you shoot an enemy, it's stun locked. And it's stun locked for longer than it takes for you to take another shot. So if you can just you just shoot and shoot and shoot and shoot, and the enemies die, but you run out of ammo because this is a survival horror game.
But can you get into any Hades 2 situations where there's 2 enemies on the screen, and then suddenly you can no longer stun lock them?
I think there's a moment in this video, in my recording, where I actually get sandwiched between 2 enemies, and obviously you can't see behind you well enough, so I just got fucking owned. Got sandwiched and destroyed. As you would expect in a maze game with enemies, you get caught, like in Pac-Man.
It didn't even occur to me that they come from bind. Are there indications when that happens?
But you can hear them. They have not. There is distinctive noises that sound semi-directional, even, for when an enemy is coming up behind you, or whether it's in the next room through a door, or whether it's at the door. So you can actually tell where all of the enemies are without even having to visually see them, which is good in a game where you're locked into a, at the time, red and black VR headset and have to turn very slowly. The whole game is pretty good.
Ooh.
It's very interesting. Yeah, did you just see one of them jump out of a wall that is no longer there? That happens a lot as well. The levels change as you go on later with enemies jumping out at you. But the navigating, even without it being red and black, was horribly disorientating. Just horribly. A lot of the time, you have to look at the map just to see what direction you are facing, because you might turn around by accident and have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, I've noticed it's real fucking hard to follow this video of what way you're turning.
I couldn't tell while playing it. Like, sometimes I would accidentally press right and think I'd turned left and go down the wrong corridor all the way, and then look at the map and go, shit, I've gone halfway back through the level, and then got timed out and destroyed. All of the passwords,
go ahead,
as you go on, get slowly edgier and edgier as well.
Iron Cafe Ruby.
Uran.
It's not bad at the moment. As you go on, it becomes like blood, rust.
It's really sad because, like, that turning issue could be fixed just by actually scrolling the screen instead of immediately changing it.
I get that. Again, I am still wondering whether this is a matter of, if I had perspective, if I had a VR headset on, would that help whatsoever?
I feel like that would be so disorienting in VR.
I mean, this is the thing. The whole Virtual Boy was disorienting, and that's why it didn't last for than a year
Yeah,
and was never spoke about again by anyone.
but this
But
one doesn't
like,
seem to
yeah.
make even an attempt to not.
I don't think
No.
the headset would help with the turning issue because it's just a hard cut. That
Yeah.
seems
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that
It's-
wouldn't assist with that.
It's a
Because
bit
there's very
disorienting.
little animation in this. Like the enemies are animated, but everything else is
yeah,
really just
nothing
still images.
And even then, even if I wasn't playing it in grayscale, which I was just so thankful for being able to play this in black and white, it made everything so much easier to perceive. Because in red and black, which I did play a level in, everything just sort of molds together into indistinct shapes. You can't really pick up on it very well, and just having the ability to do this saved the game, which obviously didn't happen at the time because you couldn't change the colour on a Virtual Boy. You had to suffer like everyone else who owned a Virtual Boy and used a Virtual Boy and was near a Virtual Boy.
Virtual Boy.
Yeah, Virtual Boy.
No
I'm gonna
one
keep
would
playing
ever
Virtual
choose
Boy
to
games.
play a Virtual Boy.
I mean, apparently some people did, not enough to keep it like a thing that existing. You know,
Listen, people
it
chose
died
to
real
buy
quick.
it. I do not believe that anyone chose to play it.
I think it was like, what, $300 back then in 95 or something? And this was an in-between system. This was like sold as their actual, like an actual pushed console. This wasn't like a novelty item, right? They were like, oh, this is VR. This is real virtual reality on next
Oh yeah,
console.
real virtual reality.
Yeah, and you go back and you can look at adverts for Virtual Boy from like America, and it's like, oh wow, look how cool it is, and look how wow, it's so perceptive. Oh, and then you hit the reality of it being like a unit on a table with legs that you lower your face into. It's a game that is weirdly janky and very interesting for its time, but horribly limited by the technology, which is exactly what the console it is on is all about, is being horribly limited.
So not knowing the history of the Virtual Boy, what company made that system or this game? And
Nintendo.
oh, this is Nintendo. Okay.
Virtual Boy was a Nintendo product. I can't remember who made the technology. Another company made the technology, and Nintendo took it and built games around it.
Stop right there. Technology is a very strong word. All right.
For 1995, this was almost interesting.
Even back then, people knew this was shit. All right.
Someone else developed this, and Nintendo took it and went, "Yeah, that's what we want." And you know, it's a very Nintendo thing, trying to do something different.
Yeah.
Technologically advanced and very gimmicky, and a lot of the time it doesn't work Wii U. So
Power Glove. It's so bad.
I'll have you know, the Wii U was at least playable.
Also, I'll have you know, I watched E3 this year. They're bringing the Power Glove back. Don't make fun of them.
yeah,
What the Wii was just the Power Glove.
yeah, the Wii was just better. But when are we getting Nintendo Virtual? Wait, that happened, but it was made out of cardboard. Didn't it?
Oh, we did, didn't we? What was
I forgot they had a Nintendo Labo VR.
Yeah,
set.
Labo. That was it.
But yeah, this game was remarkably interesting, specifically because it's an old virtual reality first-person survival horror game, which wasn't a thing that happened for a few years after this. It was ahead of its time in a weird, awful way.
I mean, it
But
sounds
this is
like
a very
I just want to say this is the first Nintendo console that had like, I guess it was dual D, like prior to dual analog sticks. This had, 'cause
dual
what else-
D-pad, yeah.
What else would allow you to move and aim at the same time? Harkening back to like the Nintendo 64, where you did all that with the one analog stick.
Oh god. Right.
This
Daniel,
is ahead of its time, is what I'm
this
saying.
game, so you saw the branching paths, and I'm almost certain that the way it works is you go up if you finish it within about like a quarter of the level's time, and you go down for anything else. And I'm almost certain the lower down you go, the worse it gets. But there is one, I think it was the second worst ending, where the mansion just falls down and then the game just decides you failed. This is the incorrect ending. This is the ending I got, which was the second best ending, which I will just let you watch and imagine looking at this through a VR headset. It's your hero there.
Oh.
It's a very dramatic ending.
I mean, look at this pixel art, though.
That's pretty
It looks
nice.
so cool.
Whoever
Yeah,
did
I
the
gotta
art
say-
for this, at least.
The
Oh, yeah.
art, I think, is by far the strongest aspect of this, because, like, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of detail you can put in, like, the hallways and stuff. But, like, the monsters look really cool, and this looks really neat.
This looks amazing.
Yeah.
I
But
do hope
imagine
the red wouldn't destroy the aesthetic too much, because we're seeing
it
this
gives
demonic.
it something. It gives it something, but it's very hard to look at. The other thing that makes it really cool is that monster there, where you had monsters in the foreground and background. You would be able to tell how far away they are because you would have depth perception. So that would be a 3D scene for you at the time viewing it properly, which would add something. But
Debatably.
Are there
Yeah.
boss monsters? Can you shoot Dagon?
you, as far as I'm aware, I never saw anything. There are really big monsters in the last few levels that I think take more than 6 rounds to kill,
That
if
would
I
be-
remember correctly. Which is, but again, the combat isn't difficult because if you are as soon as you can see them and shoot them reliably, you can get like 1 step away from them, and then you just stun lock them and they die, no matter what. As long as you've got the ammo to kill them and you don't fuck up and accidentally move your cursor, they die. It wasn't hard, but as I've been saying a few times through this, it was just really, really interestingly weird for the time. And I'm very impressed by the Virtual Boy and how weird it is, and I'm going to keep playing more of them and hopefully putting a couple more games from that system that people don't really ever think of. Because I'm pretty sure the only thing anyone cares about is fucking Wario Land.
So
Which
then,
is fair.
George.
I don't know. I kind of want to play Teller a Boxer.
It looks cool.
George, how many fish
Yes.
people out of 5 would you give this?
I really, really, really want to give it a 4 just because of how much fun I had
That
in general.
that didn't look
But
like a 4.
The game is not good enough to justify how much I think it's interesting. You understand? I hope I can convey this. It's
It
much
is more
about
interesting
the
than it
premise.
is fun.
Yes, so I'm gonna give it like a 3 or 2.5. We'll go with 2.5
Alright.
fish people out of 5. But
2.5
it's just
fish people.
really interesting.
I
Understand.
thought there would be a Call of Cthulhu game on the Virtual Boy.
Made in Japan as well. It was Japan only. Didn't even have a Western audience to sell it to.
I mean, that makes sense. Like, Call of Cthulhu is the most popular, or at least at one time was the most popular tabletop game in Japan.
Are we slowly falling into our niches? Like, George is like Lovecraftian Virtual Boy player. Catman
Yes.
is the D&D tabletop game player. I'm the Penguin player.
Anyway,
You
next
just-
week I'm
you just
playing a
fall
Gold
into the-
Box, yeah?
I'm Daniel.
You're
You
Daniel,
sure are?
the anime fighting game player.
Yes.
I'll have you know that Box is neither an anime nor a fighting game.
It's a
I don't know
fighting
about
game.
either of those.
It is not a fight.
It's a fighting
That's not
game,
what
you're
fighting game means.
Yes, it does.
I fucking
That's
hate
exactly
you.
what it means.
I hate you and everything
You
stand
fight!
for.
You do fight.
Every game is a point and click game because you point and press a button. Daniel.
I don't know if this is how genres work.
Yes, it is, because I said so.
All genres are arbitrary. Words are arbitrary. They mean what I want.
Alright, so
They were made up.
everyone in the comment section needs to know George's opinion does not count and therefore isn't real. Anything George says can be absolutely ignored and not
I
paid
have the
attention
best
to.
taste on this podcast. You just don't understand.
George, you wanted to give a 4 to what we just saw.
Mm-hmm.
I hate Brits.
I didn't.
Speaking
didn't
of
give
people
it a
I
4.
hate, Skeezer.
Hello.
God damn it.
I
Skeezer,
exist.
you're up.
I'm up, and I'm up with a fucking game. Called Entwined. Entwined, we'll call it that.
What's your game? Tell us about it.
There's not much to say about it, honestly. It's called Entwined. It's for the PlayStation consoles, the 3, 4, and Vita. It's
Vita.
Yeah, it's a Vita game. I like it, a Vita. Alright, so basically the story is basically just there's two things. There's a fish and a bird, and they like to join together, they like to entwine, as the video game implies. And then they do that over a cycle of lifetimes. And I had no idea what this game was going in, obviously, because that's pretty much all the games I play. And now I learned it's a rhythm game. It's a really boring rhythm game.
I've seen games like this.
This is a clone of another rhythm game. I can't remember what it's called.
So basically, the only controls are use the analog sticks to move them up and down. Sometimes you're gonna have to move them at the same time. And I'm not very good at rhythm games as is, and I just never got into them. But I've played Guitar Hero, and I've played like a couple of others. There's usually like more than one. There's like more than one thing to do at a time in a rhythm game. With this, it's just move the analog sticks into a certain spot. Like, this game doesn't have much going for it, except that it looks pretty, and the music can sometimes be nice.
This isn't a rhythm game, this is the Advanced Chaos Emerald minigame from Sonic 2.
You know, if it was, it would have been a better game, really.
It's even blue and orange, see? Look at it, look at the obvious rip-off.
I know, right?
In 3 colors.
Okay, so basically, like, you have to get them into, like, the certain
I see how it works.
Yeah, hexagons. You gotta get them in hexagons. You have to try and get both the meters at the top there closer to the middle so that they can entwine into, like, one being. And
yes,
basically,
the classic story of the birds and the fish.
Yeah, you know, it's a tale all this time. And yeah, like on the way there's those little things you can pick up. They help boost it, but yeah. And if you do miss those, the meter goes back. And let me tell you, as someone who's not good at rhythm games, I end up missing them a lot, and that made this game way more frustrating than I think the people who made it wanted it to be.
It seems like it's meant to be like chill.
Yeah, it tries to be chill. It is chill at first. You're like, oh, this is quite a relaxing game. I can just, twiddle the analog sticks around, have some fun. And then you start missing them. And then you're like, oh shit, I missed. And then you start missing them again.
There's always the problem of you're just bad at video games.
That too. I am bad at rhythm games as well, which really didn't help.
No one here is good at video games, don't worry.
I'm good at video games, fuck you.
No.
I'm good at specifically fighting games.
I'll give you that. You were really good at Powerbox.
True. As I say, they try to make it more challenging by adding more shapes behind the other ones, so you have to go up and down to make sure they work. Sometimes they move left and right, so you have to coordinate properly. But other than that, there's really not much else to it. Like, once they do intertwine, there's like a small section in the end where you can just, like, I don't know, fly around. There's like a weird fish bird thing and try and make like this neat little path thing. But it doesn't really serve a purpose. I don't know why that's in this game. Probably just to make this game, have something other than this, because I feel like if it was just this with no change, it would have been boring, which it was in the end.
I can see how they can make this more complicated as it goes on, and I like the mechanic where obviously you combine the two colours to make green when you need green.
Looks like a pretty good game, honestly.
I do understand it. It's just, I don't know, it just bored me, like, after a certain while, because much...
Do you think that's actually up to the game not being up to the task, or do you think it's just you don't like these kinds of games?
I mean, I think it might be a combination of the two, because like I said, I'm not really particular on rhythm games, so that probably put a taste in my mouth. But I do know, like, most rhythm games, they do have like more than just one thing, where this is just like, okay, move your analog sticks in a certain direction. Other games, they, like, take Guitar Hero for example. That has like multiple ways to go over rhythm, as opposed to just like one thing.
Well, that's Guitar Hero. Not all rhythm games are like that. There's tons of rhythm games that's just one thing. This might be my ignorance talking. If someone who does play rhythm games sees this and they think like, okay, that's actually looks unique, then as
Happy for
Catman
them?
said, apparently he said this is a rip-off of a different rhythm game or a clone of one. So apparently
Yeah,
there's
well,
some
it's not
market
exactly,
for it.
but yeah, it looks like something I've seen.
There is
before.
a very specific subgenre that is just this.
Yeah.
And as you see, I reach the end and they start to entwine, and I go to this place here. And yeah, Teddy's like a weird
Oh,
face
he's
screen.
prettier now.
Yeah, he's way prettier, and basically, I think you just need to collect enough of those things so that they separate again. And I'm guessing, well, you're a dragon. I'm guessing you collect these so that the dragon can separate and start a new life. And the controls to it are
Dragon, write that down.
trying to maneuver this was like trying to maneuver like a jump, like a massive plane. In that it felt really hard to move up and down, and sometimes it would just move way too fast. I don't know. It's
I know who the target audience of this game is, though.
oh yeah.
Massive potheads.
Yeah, bro, this looks so bro.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh my
yes.
god, the dragon!
The kind of game that you just sit back and chill out
The
to.
bird and the fish combine and they become a mighty dragon. Oh.
You know
Well,
what?
that might explain, which I think I do agree with Schizo on, in that it looked like it wanted to ramp up the speed a lot and then just didn't.
Yeah.
It just stayed slow, which would honestly, after
You can't go
watching
too
it for a bit-
fast, you'll scare the pot.
Oh, it's a rainbow, bro!
Yeah, you could because you know.
I'd like to inform you all that this is no longer George pretending to be a pothead, but his actual reaction.
Like
Quintuple rainbow dragon!
No, I'm
Making my way
just,
across
I'm just
the sky.
very easily
Yeah.
to just.
After
Where's
you
my key? I'm gonna jangle my keys for a second.
after you make like that rainbow path, it's basically just well done. You've completed this life. Go to the flashing ball thing to start the next life, and you just kind of do the exact same thing. There's no real change to the rhythm game part, and once you get to this part again, there's not really any change. Why are you jingling your keys? Please?
Oh god.
It's what the podcast has just devolved into key jangling.
Hey, Dan. What's up?
But yeah, like the only thing that really changes is like the visual music for the rhythm game part. Like, and so I can say it's just the same shit but different aesthetics.
What did this game cost?
It costs about $10.
Yeah.
$10. That's $10. That's £10, right? Which is
No, $10 US.
Ah.
Like, I was looking around online to find some information about this. Didn't find much except that it got mixed reviews from like the people who did actually play this. And on the PlayStation Store right now, the US one, it is $9.99.
I would like to see the graph of like positive review line and also
Yeah.
smokes weed line. I want to see where the correlation on that is.
I think there'll be a lot of it.
Drug intake.
But yeah, I'm guessing.
Impressed by this.
I want you
Yeah.
to know that that line Catman will just be straight upward.
Yeah. So deep.
I feel like if I do
Alright,
play
well,
this
we
game-
can
Correlation,
run this
yes.
experiment. Hold on. Schizo, how high were you when you played this game?
not high enough really. Otherwise, I
Well,
may have
then
liked it.
you gotta go back and try it again and do the experiment, see whether or not being high.
You can only enjoy this game if you commit crime.
Hey, it's not a crime here. Fuck.
It's a crime in this place.
Yeah, but we don't care about that
In
place.
this backwards put island. We call.
I feel like if we
Look,
play this game,
Schizo, I know
Yeah.
laws are important, but breaking laws are also important. Get high and play the rhythm game.
Abandon ship of just breaking
it is
laws
your-
are important.
When there is an unjust law, Schizo, it is your duty to break it.
Yes.
not if it means you have to play
Go
this
smoke
game.
pot. Do it.
All right.
Go smoke pot.
No, wait, we're getting sidetracked here. We're getting sidetracked.
All right, Schizo. How many magic rainbow drug dragons would you give this out of 5?
I would give it about. Personally, I'd give it 2. One for the aesthetics and one for the music. I feel like if I was high, I'd probably give it an extra point.
Again, if this game just ramped up at any point, if it went up in speed, if there was like a quick
How
switch
far?
mechanic,
How
if
far
colors
exactly
changed,
did
you
you
could-
go, Schizo?
I made it to about the third or fourth life, and all the ribbons were very maybe like changes as it goes on, but I think I saw there's like 8 or 9 lives, and it's pretty much just like learn hand-eye coordination and just do the pretty patterns.
So, for about a third of the game at least, it doesn't ramp up all that much, is what you're
No,
saying.
not really. No.
That's not enough time. That's not enough time to get anyone's
would-
interest.
I would play this game for $3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
For the
10.
price, for the price, like if you're gonna get it on like a sale maybe. And don't get it full price.
Yeah, don't be
Make
an
sure you
idiot.
get it with some form of intoxicant as well, is what we've learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if
One-
I don't
one
do
night
or
intoxicants?
one.
Can I just do it on lack of sleep?
Yeah,
That'll
that's an
work. Yeah,
intoxicant.
absolutely.
Can I just stay awake for 3 days and then play this?
Let me tell you
Well-
something. I used to work 16-hour shifts at the hospital, and after 2 of those in a row, everything was funny.
True. I understand. Everything is funny all the time.
Everything is funny.
All right. I
That was it.
think we've
It
seen
was-
everything we can see from
Pretty
this.
much, yeah. Just same shit. different life.
Entwined.
Entwined.
That was a video game, I think.
It was.
It was kind of.
It's debatably
Video
a.
game.
It's a game, and they were videos.
It'd be a really nice screensaver.
It was a video
Oh, yeah.
of a game.
Ah,
It
sick.
would be a very nice screensaver. You're right.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problems with the visuals on it. It's just,
Dog.
yeah, it's a dog.
It made a dog cry. Move on.
Yeah, let's go.
Frog.
That's
God,
the
that's
frog
not-
thing? I'm afraid.
Oh no.
Don't be
What have you done,
afraid.
Dan?
Let's-
Be right back.
Let's make sure this is working. Yeah, it's working. Very
Yeah.
good.
All right, I think Sleeper said he was going to be right back.
All right. Did he?
No, that- I was gonna go get drugs, but we clicked off of the drug game.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yes, he was making an joke. All right. Shall I go? Let me get my
By all
notes up
means.
here.
I'm excited about the Frog Sims.
Do it.
Why am I trying to press play on OBS? The play button is on the
Oh,
thing
no.
OBS is recording. All right, I'm tired. I'm always tired.
You see, this should have been the nap episode, but no, you wanted to record the podcast we're supposed to do.
Yeah, just before the sleep.
all right, everyone, shut the fuck up. It's frog
Okay.
time. So this game essentially, it's like story-driven kind of grand strategy, real-time strategy battles sort of thing. You'll see here we
Nice.
get to the map. There's a bunch of different factions, though I will say the game is a Japanese game that's in the process of being translated, so not all of them are playable for the story right now in English. I'm just going to go through a few of these guys here.
Wait,
This-
what was the title of the game? I'm sorry.
Right. The game is called Lost Technology. As will be made very clear the reason why, as I tell you the story of the game, which there's a lot of war happening. That's the main story. And because of all this war, the technology has been lost. See, it's a very
Well, there
clever
you
name
go.
there. Also, no country in this world has existed for more than 50 years.
Nice.
This is the story of a certain frog. Oh, my god.
Oh my god, it's the Frog King.
I will get into the frog story.
His name is Lawrence.
All right.
Lawrence
So
the
these are
frog.
the guys who I played. They're the frogmen. Their story is essentially that they exist right now because nobody wants to fuck with them because they live right next to a fucking continent filled with demons. And their essential premise is they're really chill dudes who like music and liberty.
Nice.
Along those
All
lines,
right.
their military also serves as a royal orchestra.
Oh,
So
God, I
every
just
single
realised that
member of
uniform.
every single member of the military is also like a singer or musician of some sort. The basic premise at the start of this intro is that this King Lawrence, tries to decide on like the second conductor for the Royal Orchestra and has two of the candidates compete musically, so he can rate them and choose who's better. And
don't
so
know
he
how I
fails
feel
to
about
choose
that.
who's better.
Look at
Yeah, and
that
we get
thing.
into the daughter's story, which she's just hanging out and she runs off on
Prince
her
Albert.
own and she meets Prince Albert, who is the first human she's ever met.
Why is he
And
named after a dick piercing?
Oh no.
Well, first human she ever met. He's the first human she ever met. She immediately falls in love.
Oh.
Then we cut back to the royal court, where essentially there's snakes attacking. Everyone's on high alert. For some reason, apparently snakes are like a mythical creature in the frogs' minds. But suddenly a bunch of snakes pop up. We're going to find out that the snakes are in fact involved with that prince, Shocker, that he shows up just as the snakes do.
He's the anti Saint Patrick.
Essentially, well, essentially, what happens then is we learn of the identity of these snakes, or the people commanding the snakes, which is the evil fan club of the prince, which is essentially a whole group of evil simps who just really don't want any other girl to go near the prince.
Oh my god.
They're willing to
Oh
commit.
my
They're willing to
God.
commit mass murder for that.
So this is Scott Pilgrim with frogs.
Oh god.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, well.
Scott
he's
Pilgrim
got
with
the
frogs.
touch him. Oh wow, they're racist too.
They are very racist. And then we cut back to the throne room, where essentially what happens is Charlotte comes back and is like, I really want to meet this man, so I'm going to go off on my own. And everyone's like, no, that's a bad idea. But then the king is like, you know what? Maybe it's a good idea, but we'll all go with her. And so the premise of these guys, why they go to war, is so that they can go meet that prince for his daughter.
What a Chad.
Amazing.
With the side benefits of spreading their music throughout the continent, and also finally deciding who gets to be the second conductor for the orchestra, because that's still going on or something. That's essentially the introduction to these guys' stories.
Remarkable.
This is cool.
It is really cool. The story is really nice, and
Amusing.
once we get into the gameplay here, that's also decently fun. Let's see if I can't skip ahead a bit to that.
The first verse of the Frog's Adventure Ballad.
Ah, here we go.
Amazing.
You're going to see here that I open up the world map. That's the first thing you see. And essentially there's a few options on the map. You can recruit new units. You can get various different types of units and a higher number of units as your territory grows. You can do diplomacy, which is essentially just giving money to either increase your friendship with other kingdoms or make alliances. You can recruit roaming comrades, which are just hero characters or generals. And then there's going to war, which you're seeing right now. I'm going up in a war against kind of neutral faction.
This looks sick.
Yeah.
Look at this. Look at them.
So you essentially get many different... You buy many different units, or you start off with units who go into different, who get assigned different squads commanded by your generals up there that you see. And then you command the individual squads rather than command individual units. You can do things like change what their formation will be, like line, square, group, those kinds of things. As well as I think maybe you're able to make custom formations some way. I never found out how to do that though. Yeah, but other than that, the individual units have different abilities and effects, as well as the individual heroes having different abilities and effects that go on. So the heroes have both active and passive effects. The passive ones, like, might give the whole squad a buff or some such, like the King Lawrence. Well, I'll point out, Lawrence and Charlotte are the names of the king and his daughter, which, for a nation of frogs, are very, very French names.
I was thinking that I saw the guy in the blue uniform and I was like, he looks very French.
So all I'm saying is, maybe a tad racist against the French, but they deserve it.
Just how
Tad
it works.
racist against frogs.
But yeah, King Lawrence has a passive ability that gives any magic users in his company water magic alongside their regular magic. Also, a bunch of the abilities for these frogs in particular, as you can see all the singing going on top of them, they're just buffing themselves constantly. So I don't know the wide variety of all the units in the game, but the two that I started out with were Sonic Mages and Military Students. Which Sonic Mages were like, they had mid-range spells that did high damage, but the further away you got, the less damage they did. But the water spell they get from the king is a more long-range spell that does less damage, but can go as far as you want without changing the amount of damage. Yeah, so they made up most of my army because they just massacre things. No idea why they're so much better than everything else, but as you can see them in the top there, they're just going at it against a larger army, shooting those little circles. You know, as you do.
This is remarkable.
The other one that I got were military students, which, as frogs, they had the ability to jump really good, so they can just jump over structures and jump long distances and shit.
Nice.
As well as a melee attack that's basically just jumping into the enemy as hard as they can. And they also had a kind of screech attack for a bit of range damage. And they ended up being more jack of all tradesy, so I had some of them in there, but I focused mostly on the Sonic Mages. Because it seems a bit unbalanced, because the Sonic Mages felt really powerful compared to the military students. But once you get to like a siege or something, military students are very useful for just jumping over walls. So essentially, it does feel like there's some depth to this combat. Especially since in the left there you can see you can set every single ability that's in your army, you can set whether it is used or not, how much it is used, that kind of thing. And just it gives you a lot of options there to min-max your army. So you can really micromanage as much or as little as you want, really, which felt nice. Because sometimes I wanted to just throw a big wall of enemies at things and make it die, but sometimes I wanted to try and keep casualties as low as possible, kind of thing. So it definitely suits both play styles.
It just looks remarkable. It looks like a great game.
It is a good game.
I gotta say, I don't have a whole lot to say about it because the big like grand strategy 4X kind of games have never really done it for me. But the design of the faction seems interesting, at least. It's just being the race of frogs. It has at least gotten my attention on that front.
There are a lot of cool factions in this. Like I think they're literally just called Musket, which their whole thing is that they dug into a mountain and found a bunch of guns that they use now. So I guess they named themselves after the guns.
That's awesome.
I was hoping they were just a bunch of sentient guns.
There's also Crime, the faction of Crime, which is a giant continent filled with demons. It's a giant faction filled with demons, has nothing to do with criminals, because the criminal faction is called Alcatraz. because that's where they are. They're in
amazing.
Alcatraz.
That's fucking amazing.
This
So,
game
yeah.
has a lot of character, and it looks like a decently fun grand/real-time strategy game.
It is. It's pretty fun. I will say a lot of the strategy comes into how you build your army rather than once you get in. Because once you get in, it can devolve into just group of enemy versus group of enemy really quick with not much strategy going in. But it does feel like there's a lot of depth into building your army at the very least.
Nice.
And so the basic premise of this game, what you're going to be doing is you're just going to be expanding your territory, first attacking like neutral factions that aren't associated with any bigger army, and then eventually going up against bigger armies. And once you like do certain things like meet certain characters or make certain empires fall, it unlocks extra story events, which are pretty neat. I won't get into too much detail, not to spoil much of the story, but I will give you one example where when you kill the Empire guys, you capture a couple of their people, and in the graciousness of the frog people, they decide not to kill them and instead make them royal taste testers for the frog people. But that doesn't go well because the princess, who is in fact a frog, bakes live flies into a pie and feeds it to them, and they end up catching a disease and dying anyways from that.
What the fuck?
Oh, they're frogs. It's what they do.
Oh.
They eat flies.
Yeah, but
They have never met humans before in their life. Yeah, that's how
That's
it.
hysterical.
It's incredible. The game's great.
Alright, now this needs some clarification. You bake live flies into a dish. Are they dead flies at that point, or were they still alive after the baking?
They were live flies, I believe. I don't know the exact process, they don't go into detail, but if I was to assume, they'd first bake the pie and then put the flies in.
There were pies like that with birds that you would break the pie and then the bird would fly away.
Huh.
Oh yeah.
Those existed.
Don't eat bird pie.
There's a song about that one.
That sounds
No.
unsanitary.
Listen,
No,
they break the
I don't
pie
think
and let
I
it
don't
fly
think-
away.
Yeah, I don't think they eat the bird or the pie. I think it was just for display. But these
Yeah.
are frogs and they can eat
Who
whatever
the
the hell they
Who
want.
thinks, bro, you know what would be really cool? If a bird threw out of a pie and then we didn't eat either.
Oh, you need to learn about how rich people worked in Europe in the olden days.
So yeah,
You know,
so a duck and a
Rich
pheasant to
people
get
of the old
annoyed.
days
why we
really
moved
like
out.
that fucking rhythm game.
Bro, the bird flew out of the pie, bro.
so now you all have context for why this is called Frog Sims. That
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah, we sure do.
That was great. I like that game.
It's a good game. I'm going to
Yeah.
play more of it. I'm probably going to play a bunch of the factions. I'll finish off the frogs first.
Nice.
Nice.
Ribbit.
The Abandonshare podcast. We
Ribbit.
did it.
We
We
did
did
it.
it again.
I didn't rate the game yet, George. What the fuck?
Look, you rate the game. How many
fly pies out of
Yeah.
5
There we
would
go.
you give?
I've been waiting for someone to ask.
Would you
goddammit.
give Lost Technology?
I'd give it a 4. It's
Nice.
not the most amazing game I've ever played, but it's a really solid grand strategy game with a lot of charm to the story.
No.
Ah. Now we did it, George, you fucking idiot.
No. Now the podcast is over. We've done every. Sorry, I got the fucking format wrong.
Ah, fuck you. Fuck you. Alright, I'm ending the stream.
Yeah, end it. End